Lord Blaine Westergaard was 10 years old when he carried the living heart of Ashion out of its capital city. He didn't know it at the time because the less people knew of such things, the better. Warning sirens rang through Amari's air, the capital city awake when it should be sleeping, but it was difficult to sleep when smoke choked the streets. The sound of a scuffle past the pile of refuse Blaine knelt behind grew louder, and he chanced to look over the rancid mess that provided little in the way of cover. The two men grappling with each other in the alleyway blocked the only way out, their movements quick and brutal. What light reached them from the gas lamps on the street was barely enough for Blaine to see his father's face. Mal Westergaard, Duke of Westergaard and Captain of the Royal Guard, wasn't in uniform, while the other man was, and Blaine was too young to understand what betrayal meant. Something skidded over the ground and came to a stop near Blaine. His father's pistol, with its brass gears painted military black, was within reach. He snatched it up with one hand, the pistol almost heavier than the infant he carried close to his chest. As the son of a duke whose duty was defined by service, Blaine had been around weapons all his life. He knew how to chamber a bullet into the barrel of a pistol or load a rifle, listening as the gears clicked and locked into place for firing. He knew how to aim at a practice target or an animal while on the hunt and pull the trigger. He did not learn how to kill a man until that night. Blaine laid the swaddled infant on the dirty ground behind a broken crate, tucked safely out of sight, before facing where his father fought one of his own men in a losing battle. Blaine breathed in like his mother had taught him, gaze steady even as his heart beat wildly against his ribs, waiting to take the shot. The soldier knocked his father against the alley wall, the glint of light on sharp metal, all the prompting Blaine needed to pull the trigger with a hard press of his finger. He wasn't braced correctly and the recoil almost toppled him over. Regaining his balance, Blaine stared wide-eyed at the body sprawled at his father's feet. "Blaine," his father said hoarsely, limping toward him. "Father?" Blaine replied, his hands shaking, voice cracking with shock. Mal gently pried the pistol from his hands, and Blaine screwed up his face, trying not to cry. Then his father pulled him into a tight hug, one big hand smoothing over the back of Blaine's head. "Hush now. You're all right." His father hugged him for a second longer before gently pushing him away. As much as he wanted the comfort, Blaine knew they still weren't safe. They hadn't been safe since fleeing the palace, a place he wouldn't have been if he hadn't stowed away in his father's motor carriage when Mal had been summoned by the Queen's steward. And if he hadn't done that, he would surely be dead. "Where is she?" Mal asked. Blaine sniffed hard before retrieving the baby, picking her up off the ground. She hadn't cried when the pistol went off, the drop of sleeping draught administered by the star priest enough to keep her under before they'd been put into a motor carriage. His father had abandoned the vehicle by Hollow's Bridge on the western side of the Serpentine River, the singular waterway that cut the capital in two. Blaine wondered if maybe they should have stayed in the vehicle after all. "Hold her close for me. We're almost there," Mal said. "Where are we going?" Blaine asked for what felt like the dozenth time that night. His father didn't answer, merely steered him around the man Blaine had killed, his footsteps uneven. Warm fingers touched Blaine's jaw, keeping his face averted, and he tried not to think about what he left behind in that alleyway. They weren't the only ones on the cobblestone street when they emerged, curiosity and fear driving people out of their beds. Despite the gunshot, they weren't looked at askance, because a limping man dressed in neat, dark clothing with two children in tow was less interesting than the ugly shine of fire that glowed against the sky. 2 turns later found them hurrying along the western promenade that followed the length of the Serpentine River. The crowd of people in their nightclothes was growing along the riverside, every face turned east and the horror unfolding there. A deadly, bright orange glow haloed the night sky above where Amari's civic and royal centers were located. Wind-blown smoke made Blaine's eyes water, stinging his nose. When he glanced in the direction it came from, he saw several small 2-person ornithopters skimming low over burning buildings. The aeronauts aimed hoses attached to water tanks at the fire below in a desperate attempt to contain it.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it. at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.